Alright guys, Scrappy here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day. So far, big rumours potentially circulating last night about the situation at the Los Angeles Guerrillas, unanimously in some respect the worst team in the league right now. The fact that they lost to the Seattle Surge the other week does not paint them in a very good light, and questions are raised as to whether they need to make a roster change ASAP. But apparently, if the finances behind the scenes are to be believed, there is basically nothing these guys are going to be able to do. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. There were some funny tweets, of course, going around yesterday, as is usually here the case, but there was also, of course, the Challengers Cup this weekend going down. These are some of the new teams involved. I guess maybe you don't want to consider Doug's team a new team, right, because it's Boston Academy, but Doug is playing instead of Cammy, if you guys didn't see that story yesterday, so pretty exciting stuff, not gonna lie, for those guys, and they have made some progression in the tournament, as Noisy says here. GG supported the boys 1-3-2, they played Doug sent to Martin Tarot for top 6, so we'll see how Boston Academy can do, because of course, let's not forget, they did rather well with Cammy the other day, winning the Elite. Now they're here at the Cup, and Doug is here instead, because Cammy's out in LA for a couple of days sorting some stuff out. There was also this that was going around as well on the rumours on the future of Sledgehammer Games, Modern Warfare 2 basically, and the guns that were going to come in, right? You remember those rumours around that the ASM-1, the BAL, maybe it wasn't the BAL, but certainly the ASM-1 was rumoured to be coming into this game at some point, and the feeling was that Sledgehammer were going to kind of bring back some of their old school stuff that they had back in the Advanced Warfare days and bring them back in here to Modern Warfare 3. Now the feeling is that might not be the case anymore, because apparently Infinity Ward effectively controls the show. Despite the fact that it's a Sledgehammer game, rumour has it that Infinity Ward, pretty much, they make the decision, and any changes Sledgehammer want to make, they have to bring it to IW, and they have to say what they want to do. So, to be honest, it maybe makes sense this, because MW3 was initially thought to be like a direct sequel to MW2, which in some respects it kind of is. But I guess there was then the feeling that given the fact that Sledgehammer had made it, they probably had primary control. But if that's not the case, not ideal, right? Because if anything they want to change in terms of balance or spawns or whatever, they have to run by RW. Not a great situation. Maybe the Rival 9 falls into that category as well, just because there's been another set of few clips over the last few days. Obviously, we know that Parasite gasses up the linear aim assist mode rather than dynamic in areas with the Rival. Okay, the quality's kind of bad, but you get the picture. He beams somebody across the map. And the same story here with Dashy right now. We know that traditionally, and it's going to continue to be the case, the AR players, when they pick up a sub, they're like, oh my god, this gun's unreal. To be fair, it's happened the other way around before as well, when Scump, for example, would, whenever Scump picks up an AR off the floor in old games, he would always go on a streak, right? Because usually those guns are better, and that's just how it tends to go. This game, I think it's somewhat more difficult to say which gun is actually better, because the Rival is like unreal. I think there's no doubt about it. And some of the AR players are like, damn, this gun is ridiculous. And that is what Dashy and the guys are actually talking about here. So I'll share a couple of clips here. Firstly, on the Rival, how broken it may or may not be, depending on your opinion. The MCW is also good. The fact that it can 4-shot with a single headshot, that's a pretty big deal. But the Rival is unreal as of late. But also a clip on the Los Angeles Guerrillas and exactly what's going on behind the scenes there at that camp right now.
Shit.
Nah, bro, what? This shit is insane. This shit is insane. This shit is broken, bro. What the fuck is this shit? That's my bad, dude. I'm like going for... Yo, is that guy full HP?
You kicked him out the hill?
Yes.
Nah, bro.
Is that guy full, bro? Like, he's one. He can't even peek. Am I, stream? Like, I'm not trying to like be that ARs versus, bro. This shit is broken, bro. What the fuck are we? I'm not even joking. I'm actually just gonna spend the rest of like, I'm just gonna like look for like this gun on the floor now.
Bro, obviously, I'm not gonna say it's true because I don't know. It may not be, but that the coaches on this squad are working for free. Like, because they have like 3 coaches.
There's no way.
I mean, it's what I heard. And thinking about that, like,
That's insane.
Coaching for free and dealing with this day to day, that's gotta be.
You gotta think
guys,
though, if they're coaching
everything
for free, Pat, there's no shot they're even doing anything. They're probably like just fucking going through the motions, bro. Pat, if you
that also speaks on roster changes. Like if they aren't even paying coaches, like Tom, how are they gonna pay another player to come on board?
But that's what I'm saying. Like Pat, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're getting paid
I
zero,
can also lie. I don't know. This is maybe an assumption, but I'm pretty sure the coaches are just like best friends with all these players.
Yeah, this was a friendship. Isn't this a friend? This is a friendship
Just
team
a
we've
friend
talked
squad.
about. Yeah,
So
we
like
talked
no
about
one's getting
this.
dropped and no one's getting paid. Like bro, this is it, bro. Like bro, LAG's like.
So there was also some further discussion on potentially GAing certain attachments on the SMG. This is something that was done with the AR when they got rid of the high grain ammunition, whatever it was, right? The rounds that made the bullet velocity faster. They GA'd that because the AR was too strong at the start of the game. Now many AR players are actually saying, well, hang on a second, maybe the SMG is the stronger weapon. So possibly, it's not a bad idea because the pros have done this before. Let's say the snipers. Now, the snipers are banned in this game, but in previous games, the pros have said, all right, we can use snipers, but no attachments on them. I think Vanguard, that was the way that it worked back then as well, which probably isn't the worst solution, just to GA the attachments. Obviously, it makes it problematic for ranked play. Like, how do you really reflect that? It's kind of tough to do. But, you know, Bean says these sub players are brainwashing people into thinking this gun is terrible, but it's actually, according to them, rather overpowered. And I think we have definitely seen more of a prevalence of the rifle over the last few days. Here's an interesting shot here from, or spot here from Shotzzy, that he manages to find himself in here with the rifle 9. I'll just show you guys how he got up here on Invasion. So I don't know what it is with Shotzzy and kind of finding this type of stuff, but he slides up the wall here, and you know, this is pretty disgusting angle, to be honest, to hold out in control, and he's able to just hit the reloads and just beam these guys across the map again and again and again. Nice little bit of recoil control, no doubt about it, but also a bit of drama going down between the Warzone guys and some of the CDL crew. There was this Invasion search Chal that went down yesterday, and Blast was roasting TJ for going 0-10, which is pretty rare for TJ, to be fair. And it wasn't really just Warzone guys, but it was Blast, and then it was, you know, Tupac, Arsties, and Simp versus Optimum, more Drazah and TJ. So at least some people are getting some 8s going, right? Obviously, 8 search and destroy. Fair play to Arsties getting in here as well, just because there's a feeling of, you know, how seriously Arsties has taken this whole Seattle search situation again, but hopefully they can turn it around. Not wishing for any of these teams to fail, apart from, to be fair, the organizations that don't necessarily commit to the scene. And right now, Los Angeles Guerrillas are certainly one of those. For some time, they were in a good position. Not in a good position, but they're paying the big money. They were making very questionable decisions. And it's kind of remarkable, actually, that Ravens have an 88% chance to qualify for winners despite being 2-3. Guerrillas are 0-5. They have a 1% chance to qualify for the winners bracket. So this is how it presently looks. FaZe, New York, obviously, like even Vegas are officially locked into winners, guaranteed. Even if Vegas lose their last couple of games, they will be in winners guaranteed. Of course, they played today. We'll discuss in a second. Boston are 2-4, and they're still more likely than not to make winners based on the predictions of these games. Miami can actually still do it. Minnesota have roughly, obviously they need to win their final series emphatically, but they can still make it despite starting 0-5. Winners bracket is still on for them. It's not looking so good for the Surge, and Guerrillas, you'd think it was chalked, but actually they have a 1% chance. So, you know, basically if they dominate their final couple of series, the Los Angeles Guerrillas, they could theoretically make it if, you know, these results happen here, but the probability of this is rather unlikely. So Clay says, yeah, pretty insane, and more than likely Guerrillas, Miami, obviously I'm guessing Surge, and then possibly somewhere else are going to make it to the losers bracket, which of course is not where you want to be. But the Guerrillas have regressed massively since the start of the season. This really shouldn't be a surprise to people that have seen this type of stuff happen before, right? When teams are formed with challenges, talents that have good teamwork early on, but as time progresses, the other teams improve, and just the lack of talent in some respects does come back to bite them. We've seen this story again and again and again. It's the same story here. Now, do I believe that this team that was rumoured would actually be substantially better? Personally, I'm not so convinced, right? I don't know. I think they'd probably be better than they are today, but would they be, you know, qualifying in winners bracket, making a run? I'm not so sure, personally speaking, but intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. And the feeling is that Los Angeles Guerrillas, their next game is FaZe, right? So let's be real here. FaZe have just been smoking people lately, and if FaZe win their hardpoint in their search and destroy, they'll set the record for the longest map win streak, but also the map win percentage is important. If Texas takes down New York, we could have a 4-way tie with the overall map count being the tiebreaker if that was to occur. So lots of interesting kind of implications here for the way the bracket is going to play out come the major. But FaZe they've won a lot of maps in a row at this point, and they play Guerrillas next to effectively extend that record. One of the problems, though, for Guerrillas is this. Their structure behind the scenes is kind of broken. We know this to be true. The coaching staff situation, we know that Vioz, right, was brought in to coach. He obviously made the decision to go for these guys rather than alternatives. Got some flack for it early on, but there was a time where these guys were probably, you know, top 5, top 6 team in the game early on. And then obviously that's regressed massively. They got slammed by New York. To be fair, most people get slammed by New York nowadays, but this was not pretty. Obviously last night there were some quick matches in the CDL yesterday, and the fact that Guerrillas lost to Surge the other day, who are still bad, no doubt. They lost to Minnesota yesterday, pretty comfortably so, actually, in the end. Guerrillas are just pretty woeful. FaZe meta point 6, 34 kills in 3 maps. Not great. And the question has been, are these guys even getting paid? Now, the players are getting paid the minimums, but what is the ruling outside of that? Are these guys coaching these teams for free? Because if you look at the numbers of coaches they have, it's surprising. They have like a few guys working with the team. So what are Guerrillas doing? Because we know that they have tried, it seems, to cut back massively on their esports operations. It is clearly the intention to get out of here as soon as they possibly can. But I imagine nobody wanted to buy their spot last season, because who would you? Like, who would want to do that? So they're sticking it out for now. And possibly Cronky will just pay the 200k a year to fund the players forever, and I guess, you know, maybe a social guy as well to work on a freelance basis. I don't know. Obviously a bit of a mess. They've gone to the absolute rock bottom in terms of cost and everything, and of course this raises questions as to whether they can even realistically make a change. I guess they can, because, you know, they can release a player and probably just not pay any of their money for the rest of the season, bring in a new player. They can do that. They do have a substitute as well, so I'm just a bit confused by this whole saga, right? Because some players or some teams, they have their coach as their sub to save money. That's done quite a lot. But Guerrillas actually have a real sub, so they must be paying him the minimum effectively. So, but then they've got a coach as well. So I don't really know. It's interesting for Guerrillas. Maybe they've budgeted like 300k or something, and they've said, all right, like, we'll have a bit more than the minimum just so we can pay for a sub and a couple of other things. It's maybe not much money to those guys at the end of the day. But if you look at the coaching staff, right, Vioz, Arian, and Cheek as well, all coaching these guys. And I know that these latter two guys, I'm pretty sure, are doing it remotely, but yeah, still, it's a tough spot, right, for these guys if those rumors are true that they're not getting paid. Because I guess, you know, maybe you could even find a challengers team that might give you some money. Surely they get in some sort of kickback here from the Guerrillas, unless they're just paying for travel to events. I don't know, but I think the long and the short of it is, Guerrillas as an organization are not in a good position. But at the end of the day, they still have options to make changes, I would say, and they probably need to ASAP. Whether they should do so before the major, look, they play FaZe next. It's probably not going to be pretty, let's be real, next weekends. And FaZe, by the way, are 19-4 in their online series record since stage 4 of last year. OpTic, though, are 19-3. Subliners are 19-4 as well. So those are the numbers to beat recently. Toronto are 16-6, for example, online since stage 4 of last year. So those are your top 4, and I don't imagine that's going to change anytime soon. But the way that Cellium and Simp and aBeZy and Drazah have been coming different lately in terms of the energy they're bringing to the table. Exciting to see when they play the top teams on LAN in Miami, what that is going to be looking like. But these are the games for today, and finally, we have some decent games, I would say. Now, I will say, to be honest, my predictions for these games and most people's predictions are going to be quite similar based on the results of the last couple of days. Thieves got absolutely slammed by FaZe on Friday. I'm going to take Legion. I was going to take Legion anyway, to be fair, because for me, okay, I don't know what I think about the FaZe series against Thieves. They got completely body slammed, but FaZe are body slamming like everyone right now. So I don't know whether I think Thieves might be a bit better than they thought that they at least looked in that series. And to me, this was the decision, Thieves or Legion, between which team I would pick as my dark horse for the event. I think I was going to pick Legion anyway. I'm going to pick them to win this series. If they do, and if Legion actually take down Thieves here today and start 4-1, going into their, last few games of the qualifiers, then for me, Vegas are for sure the dark horse team going into Major 2. It's pretty exciting. If Thieves were to beat them, then maybe I would say that's Thieves instead. Then Ravens, Heretics, man, Miami are also a bit of a shambles. Ravens are looking pretty good for winners anyway, but to be fair, the 10 points, every 10 points is really valuable as it stands. So I think they'll go hard for it. I do think Ravens have actually been a pretty good COD lately. Miami are a bit of a mess. So I'm going to take Ravens to win this one. And then OpTic Ultra. I'd love to predict this series as being super competitive, down to the wire, and I think it quite possibly could be. But I just think that in terms of actually predicting it, Toronto just should be quite substantially favoured, I would say, because of the search and destroy aspect. Depends a little bit on how hard they come into this series, right? Like, do Toronto take it absolutely seriously? I think that they will, just because of the importance of the game in terms of confidence for the major. But also, OpTic search and destroy is suspect. Ultras is better. So even if it goes to 5, I'd still lean Ultra's way. So I think I'll take Ultra 3-2 in that one. But very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.